So you're thinking about jumping into the US stock market? That's awesome. But the very first thing you've got to master isn't what to buy, but when to buy it. The whole thing runs on a very specific clock, and it's basically the heartbeat of global finance. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Decode that clock, piece by piece. Okay, so let's kick things off with what seems like a really simple question. What time does Wall Street really open for business? I'm sure you've got an answer ready, probably 9:30 a.m., right? Well, I'm willing to bet it's not quite as straightforward as you think.
Yeah, the reality is, it's actually way more complicated than you might think. Just thinking of the market as open or closed is, well, it's a huge oversimplification. You've got to think about multiple trading sessions, some pretty quirky time zone rules, and, of course, a whole calendar of days when the market doesn't open at all.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to meet the two big players, the titans of the U.S. market. Then, we'll break down the entire trading day, and trust me, it's probably longer than you imagine. After that, we'll get a handle on those tricky time zones, see what all this means for traders around the world, and finally, we'll cover the days Wall Street just takes a nap.
All right, let's dive into Section 1, America's Financial Heartbeat. Look, whenever you hear someone talk about the U.S. market, what they're really talking about, almost always, are two absolute giants of finance. And they're both based right in New York City. So on one side, you've got the New York Stock Exchange, the NYSE. This is the granddaddy of them all, founded way back in 1792. It is, by market cap, the largest exchange in the world. And then you have the NASDAQ. It's much younger, founded in 1971, and it's famous for being packed with tech companies. It holds the number 2 spot globally. Now here's the key takeaway. Even though they have totally different histories and list different kinds of companies, they both operate on the exact same schedule. So, now we know where all this action is happening. Let's get to the real heart of the matter, when it happens. See, the official trading day isn't just one block of time. It's more like a cycle, with some very distinct phases. The whole trading day is really broken into 3 main sessions. It all kicks off with pre-market trading, which can start as early as 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Then you have the main event, what we call normal trading hours, from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it doesn't stop there. You've got after-hours trading, which can go all the way to 8 p.m. This gives people a chance to react to big news, like earnings reports that drop after the market closes.
Now that middle block, the one called normal trading hours, that's the one that really truly matters for most of us. This is the main event, for sure. It's when trading volume and liquidity are at their absolute peak. And what does that mean? It just means it's the easiest time to buy or sell stocks quickly without a lot of fuss. It's this period that's famously marked by the opening and closing bells.
A pretty simple way to think about all this is like a 3-course meal. Pre-market trading? That's the appetizer. It's where the early birds get to react to all the news that happened overnight in Asia and Europe. Then the normal session, that's the main course. It's where all the action is, the busiest, most active part of the day. And after-hours trading? Well, that's dessert. Your last chance to make a move based on company news, which, by the way, often drops right after that 4 p.m. closing bell.
Okay, this next part, this is where a lot of people get tripped up. The time zone. See, every single time we've mentioned so far is in ET, which stands for Eastern Time. But here's the thing. ET is actually a surprisingly slippery term. So what does it really mean? Well, believe it or not, Eastern Time has 2 different faces, and it all depends on the season. During the fall and winter, New York is on Eastern Standard Time, or EST. But then in the spring and summer, it switches over to Eastern Daylight Time, EDT, all thanks to daylight saving. This 1-hour shift might seem small, but it is absolutely critical to remember, especially if you're trading from outside the US. So why does this little 1-hour shift matter so much? Well, because it completely changes the game for anyone who's not in that time zone. So let's take a look at what this means for you around the world. Let's see what these hours actually look like from some other major cities. Okay, let's break this down. If you're a trader in London, the US market kicks off for you at 2:30 p.m., right after lunch. If you're in Mumbai, it's basically an evening job, starting at 7 p.m. And for someone in Tokyo, wow,
The opening bell doesn't ring until 10:30 at night. And the most important part, you have to remember that all of these times will shift by an hour when the US switches between daylight and standard time. You gotta stay on top of that.
And of course, the market isn't open every single weekday. Nope. There are very specific days when Wall Street just goes completely quiet, and it is absolutely essential that you have these days marked on your calendar.
So here they are, the official stock market holidays for 2024. On these days, nothing's happening. Wall Street is totally silent. It's always a really, really good idea to just check the official NYSE or NASDAQ calendar at the beginning of the year, because some of these dates, like Martin Luther King Jr. Day, can move around a bit. And hey, it's not just the full-day closures you need to watch out for. There are also early closures. The most common one is the day after Thanksgiving, that Friday, when the market shuts down early at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Seriously, this one catches so many people by surprise, so it's a really good one to keep on your radar.
And finally, it's important to remember that in really rare, extraordinary circumstances, the market can just shut down without any warning. You know, things like the 9/11 attacks, or major natural disasters like Hurricane Sandy. Both of those caused the market to close. These decisions are never taken lightly. They're really only done to protect the stability of the market and stop widespread panic during a major crisis.
So there you have it. That's the complete breakdown of the U.S. market clock. We've covered the three-course meal of the trading day, untangled those tricky time zones, and even looked at the days Wall Street takes a break. So now you know the schedule. The only question left is, what's your first move?